Heyo! This be Cammie Mile, or as you may better know me, CarammelCat123, and I'm here today to make my first jump into the land of video game videos and make my very own wishlist for the upcoming Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. I wanted to make a Who I Expect video with all the characters, arguments, and proper reasoning behind my choices, but honest to goodness, I just don't know all that much, and the characters I've chosen are pretty much just my personal preference. I'll try to give some sound reasoning, and I haven't just gone out and chosen something like, I don't know, Naruto or Amaterasu or something, but I guess some of my choices could still be considered unreasonable, though in my case, desirable. So without further ado, let's start with number 5. Coming in at number 5, we have a fairly loose interpretation of a character, since it's more of an idea and not a set fighter. And no, it's not a me, although I kind of expect that anyway. My choice for number 5 is Pokemon Trainer 2.0. Pokemon Trainer was probably one of the coolest additions for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. He certainly wasn't the most popular, but definitely one of the most creative. The obvious choice for a Pokemon added to the new Super Smash Bros. Wii U was probably Zoroark or Mewtwo and a half. But now that Lucario has been reintroduced, which came as a welcome surprise, I don't see much chance for Mewtwo 2 and basically no chance for old Samurai Hair. Why not a new Pokemon trainer though? Or possibly just different Pokemon trainer choices, so you can pick which generation of starters. If they did this, they'd probably go with the female model from Pokemon X and Y and give her Fennekin, Quilladin and Greninja. That'd be my guess. But if I could have my way, they'd instead go with a Pokemon trainer rival and have Silver with starters from the second generation like Cyndaquil, Bayleaf and Feraligatr. That'd rock. Also, with the addition of, essentially, 3 new Pokemon to the roster, you'd have a healthy dose of new from the Pokemon franchise and not have to add anyone silly like Nosepass or Trubbish or whatever else. I feel like, as far as Pokemon goes, we don't really need to justify our choices with movesets, as they're all fairly obvious. But other than that, it's fairly straightforward and doesn't need backing up. So yeah, for number 5, Pokemon Trainer. Of some sort. For my number 4, I'm going to go with a classic pick, Bomberman. I don't really have to explain why Bomberman made it onto my list. He's a fairly iconic character and in about a bajillion Nintendo games. His moves would be easy enough. Bombs, lots of them. And we can even mix it up and use different kinds of bombs. Wow, talk about variety. In all honesty though, for those who have played his games, Bomberman has a heap of cool bombs. Missile bombs and underwater bombs and time bombs. He'd be like a cuter version of Snake. Even though I, and everyone else, would really like some more customizable outfits and whatnot for the characters and such, like Toon Link in his cute ass lobster sweater, we probably won't get that. And it hurts to say that, really. But Bomberman's easy, just recolor him, because that's what Bomberman's multiplayer's always done anyway. Even if it would be way cooler to have him all kitted out in his Indiana Jones look. He could even utilise his rockets and helicopter and, wow, he really would be like Snake. The point in case being that he'd have an awesomely explosive moveset with heaps of potential, with little items and boosts from other Bomberman games, like his whip. Sliding bombs, shooting bombs, throwing bombs, and picking up bombs. The word just sounds stupid now. Really though, there isn't much reason to add Bomberman other than he's flooping Bomberman, but that's reason enough for me. Even though they already have quite a few characters from the Legend of Zelda series, I won't choke if they add another one. In fact, I pretty much expect it. I've got to say probably the most obvious and popular choice is Girahim, and honestly, I can see it happening. But this isn't a video about what I think's going to be in the game, it's about what I want. These are my hopes and dreams and you can't take that away from me. Considering other potential options from the Legend of Zelda series, we've got all sorts of choices. We've got Impa, Groose, Skull Kid, who would have been awesome but was put in his place with that assist trophy thing, Toon Ganon, Midna, Tingle... Wow! Wait, who? Oh, no way man, that makes way too much sense! Now, forgetting that ever happened, we move on to my personal preference. Toon Zelda. Well, actually no, when I say Toon Zelda, I don't actually mean Toon Zelda at all, I mean Tetra. When the first Super Smash Bros. Wii U trailer came out, I freaked, and not in a good way. After getting over the whole initial, oh my gosh, new game, I came to the realization that Toon Link was a part of one of the level's backgrounds, and honestly, that really scared me. I thought it was concrete proof that Toon Link wasn't going to be a fighting character in the new game, and I was genuinely upset by that prospect. However, thank goodness, he was announced as a character a few months back, and shown to be replaced by Alfonso when on the Spirit Tracks level. We've gone a little off topic again, but point being that both Toon Link and Tetra were and are relevant during the production of this game because of Wind Waker HD. And think of her moveset. It could be potentially awesome. I mean, she's a pirate, and that's awesome! Pirates are awesome! She has like one of those cutlass dagger things that she could use in close combat, and then she could utilize some of the items from the Zelda series, using bombs like Link since, well, they were the pirates' bombs anyway, or maybe the grappling hook, or who knows what else. Get creative, guys, that's what your brain's for. Also, the fact that, as I've heard in little shady corners of the internet, some people got the idea to dump all the files from Brawl onto a computer and ran across a tidbit of information. In the files for the incompleted playable characters, there was found files with the names Dixie, Dr. Mario, Roy, Toon Zelda, Toon Sheik, Prat Mai, possibly Plusle and Minun, and Mewtwo. Now, I don't know about you, but Toon Sheik isn't my first thought, considering she's not really a thing. Tetra just makes a lot more sense, even if you want to have the same sort of Zelda Sheik effect with the Toon Zelda and Tetra, considering she actually magically transforms into Tetra in Wind Waker anyway. While I think Girahim will probably make it in over her, she's a plausible choice, and anything's better than... My choice for number 2 is a pretty popular and fairly obvious one. With the not so very long ago release of Fire Emblem Awakening, we were introduced to Chrom, who is this awesome dude with a huge sword and blue hair and dreamy eyes and... Yeah, anyway. Considering the pattern with Fire Emblem characters in the Super Smash Bros. Series, it wouldn't be a far stretch to pick Chrom as the new character. There was a lot of speculation going around that Marth was going to be removed from the new game, or replaced with the Awakening Marth, which would have made sense, or for people who've actually played Fire Emblem Awakening, kinda sorta doesn't. That being besides the point, Marth as a character has already been confirmed for the new Super Smash Bros., looking as fabulous as ever, so we can rule out him going anywhere. Question is, what about Ike? Well, if you'll excuse the saying, I do quite like Ike, but he irritated the stuffing out of me in battles. But that not really being reason enough, of course. If we were removing characters that annoyed me in fighting, we'd probably have to get rid of half the roster, but that's mostly because my friends are better at the game than I am. I think it would be refreshing to add a new Fire Emblem character to the roster, and the obvious choice is Chrom. I don't really care to have a girl character from Fire Emblem, because, let's face it, Chrom's a babe. This dark menace will slowly destroy you with home loans until you go bankrupt and get kicked out onto the street where he sends his lackeys to beat you up. It's Tom Nook! No, actually, like, that'd be cool, but it was just a joke, really. You can stop shaking in your boots now. My actual choice for number 1 wasn't even a hard decision. In fact, it wasn't really a decision at all. I pretty much made this list for this one character. But first, a discussion. Namco Bandai has teamed up with Nintendo to help create this wonder of gaming, in hopes that using their experience and expertise, they'll be able to make it more of a balanced fighter. Fact of the matter is, I don't really care about the why. I care more for the possibilities opened up for potential characters that this magical partnership has given us. Question is, who's it gonna be? By far the most popular character choice is Pac-Man. It makes sense, honestly it does. I just really don't want it. And it's probably just for selfish reasons too. If Pac-Man was implemented into the game, he'd probably be all arms and legs Pac-Man, and to be honest, I'm much more partial to the no-limbs dot-chomping guy he used to be. He's much more charming that way. What other options are there? We could always add Tekken characters, but I don't really know anything about them, so... Hey, it's my list, don't argue. Somebody that I would love and thinks fits really well into the Super Smash Bros. Scene is Klonoa. I mean, look at him. Besides just being gosh darn adorable, he totally fits the Smash Bros. Style. And he knows his way around a fight and has that cool ring thing for some unique moves too. Admittedly, I know next to nothing about Klonoa, but I still totally want him. He's a character that I haven't seen in any top 5 or 10 or whatever videos for this game, but I think he's a fairly awesome pick and Hang on, what am I saying? Klonoa isn't my number 1. I'm sorry, I totally just got sidetracked there. Where were we? Oh yeah, Namco Bandai, my number 1 choice. Well, here it is. Drumroll, if you will. Ta-da! Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia. If you're into JRPGs and you haven't played any of the Tales of games, you're sorely missing out. Introduced with the first title, Tales of Fantasia in 1995, we were blessed with the first JRPG to break out of the Final Fantasy shtick and instead use real-time battle. The Tales of series is one of Namco Bandai's finest series, in my personal opinion, and has had a couple of titles on Nintendo systems. Tales of Symphonia, which had its debut on the GameCube, where Lloyd is from, is its most successful title in the West, and it's up there in Japan too. Lloyd is probably one of the more well-known Tales of heroes too, which makes him a more notable choice. The Tales of series uses a directional attack system, where holding the toggle in either direction uses a different move. Sound familiar? Lloyd's skill set would be painfully easy to pick. Each choice is more obvious than the next, but they've certainly got plenty for options at the same time. He even has one awesome super ultra move that would basically copy and paste into a final smash. Lloyd's been in a couple of fighters in his time too. A playable character in the PSP title, Tales of Versus, which is basically a not as good Tales of version of Super Smash Bros., but he's also been in Soul Calibur Legends as well, where he looks a little more stylized and grown up. However, that being said, I think the short, chibi-ish look would work very well for him too, considering Super Smash Bros. Has always been a series to have an array of art styles, usually staying true to the games they're from. I know it doesn't really count for anything, but he was also a character in the fan-made Super Smash Flash, which I suppose just proves that the fans are totally up for it. Tales of Symphonia is a game that's been around since 2003, so it's pretty old. Mind you, it only just got an HD remake of its own, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles, which has both it and its sequel, so in a way you could say he's currently relevant, just like Tetra or Toon Link. As far as Tales of characters go for Nintendo systems, we've got Cress, Lucca, Xing, Luke and Asbel. Cress was the first Tales of character but isn't really well known, but at the same time, he'd fit just as well as any of the others. Lucca and Xing's games were never very popular, and they were never released outside of Japan. But then again, that's never stopped Super Smash Bros. Before. Luke's game, Tales of the Abyss, was only ported to the 3DS a couple of years ago, so other than Lloyd or Cress, he's probably a more plausible choice, considering he's the most recent one of their characters on a Nintendo platform. And as much as I love him, I feel like Lloyd would fit better, and Luke's a brat anyway, everyone would probably hate him until he gets a haircut. Either way, I would happily take either Luke or Lloyd as a new character for Smash Bros. Asbel's game, Tales of Graces, had its debut on the Wii, but wasn't released in the West until it was ported to the PS3 as Tales of Graces F. Asbel again would fit, but isn't as notable or iconic as Lloyd or even Luke or Cress. So there you have it, my top 5 character choices for Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. I can see a lot of other characters making it in, like Bowser Jr., Magnus, Ridley, Tails, or Little Mac, but these are my choices, my hopes, wishes and dreams. If Nintendo would be so kind as to grant one of these, or even multiple, I can die a happy woman. Comment in the section below who you really want to see in the new Super Smash Bros. And of course, thanks for watching.